A global excursion from the comfort of the home, the iRacing simulator provides the perfect platform for the most competitive esports series on the planet. For a group of Canadian-based drivers and teams, one championship has taken the top step and packed itself full of talent year after year. This 8-round championship is coming to a close in just a few weeks' time, and this is the penultimate round. Welcome to Sao Paulo, Brazil, to a circuit named Interlagos for one of the last rounds of the 2023 Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. Hi everybody, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by DJ Clark for the 7th of 8 rounds of this championship. DJ, welcome back. Sao Paulo, Brazil's Interlagos, between two lakes. This place has lots of history, and tonight, lots of action.
It certainly does, Kyle, and it's really the tale of two different circuits here. From the run from the junction down into the Descida do Lago, it's all about speed, it's all about power and being able to get that draft. But that infield section is a very, very tight, twisting, and technical part of the track. So you've got to make sure that you're able to keep up your momentum and able to keep up the gaps there at that point. Look for a lot of passing coming into 1 and into 4, and look for some sneak attacks down into that infield area.
Yeah, it's a tight and twisty circuit. We're going to see lots of pushing and shoving, that I'm certain. Last week at Road America had a big crash on the opening lap. Trying to avoid that here this week, but let's have a look at the Porsche Center standings coming into the night and see where the teams are lined up. It's Porsche Center Lausanne on top of the board right now, 859 points over Porsche Center Rive Sud. Halifax a long ways back. It's really those top two, DJ, that have been kind of nip and tuck all season long. But between Markham and Mark Motors, there's also a good little fight brewing, and same with North Toronto at Edmonton.
Yeah, very much so. We've got that separation up at the top of the field, but there's plenty of battles to keep us interesting. But really and truly, Lausanne versus Rive Sud, those are going to be the two main Porsche centers that you're going to want to keep an eye out for, as they have been this entire year long. The other good battle that I want to watch, though, that I've been very, very intrigued by, though, is we look down into the field, it's that 11th place position. We're back in Winnipeg, only 4 points separating. That could get a little spicy.
Yeah, that's a really tight battle between those two. And even down the order, there's still some shifting and shuffling left to go. But here's a look at our season standings in terms of the driver championship. Antoine Lacharité in the Porsche Center Lausanne team car, 473 points. That lead down a little bit after Racine Fizui got into him late in the going at Road America. There was a little bit of dramas there at the National Park of Speed, but just 35 points separate those top two. And look at this, Guillaume Levesque and Phil Bouchard tied for third right now.
Well, and as we compare back to those original standings that you talked about, not really too surprising here. Lausanne, Rive Sud, that's where it is. We want to give some credit there, though, to Andrew Caron, holding on there to that 5th place relatively resolutely. That's a good run for him. Also, keep an eye here, Matt Adams and Romagnolo and Trepanier separated those 3 drivers by 6 points.
And looking down the rest of the order here, I do believe that Suelio Almeida is going to be missing this round again for some real-world racing opportunities. Believe they're up at CTMP this weekend, so that's exciting for Suelio, but he will not be here tonight. Alex Ellis, 11th, his Porsche Center Markham teammate. Looking down the list here at some of the other drivers and teams competing in this championship. Again, these are the drivers that are not quite towards the top, but there are still places to fight for, prizing all the way down through the field, but the big prizes go to the top 3, including a Porsche driving experience and lots of swag and merchandise from Bose and friends at Tag Heuer as well. They're our timing partner this season, as well as Grid Engineering for being with us. But season points, that's a look. Let's head down to the racetrack. Qualifying is underway, DJ, and we know how important qualifying is to set the grid for our 2 races. This will set the grid for the 15-minute race, and then the finishing order with a 10-driver invert sets that second race, that 30-minute final event here for round number 7.
Yeah, very much so, and I don't think qualifying is going to be nearly as important as it has been. Ooh, there's a little bit of a slip there in the background, one of the cars spinning around. As there are plenty of places to overtake here today, qualifying not going to be absolutely crucial, but I think for these drivers, being up in the top 5, being up in the top 10, that's about where you want to see it.
Get yourself in position. Certainly that's what you want to do while you've got the time here in qualifying. Sao Paulo, Brazil, population over 11 million people. This track was built originally back in 1940. It's seen some configuration changes over the years, most recently I believe in the 1980s, but the track length now 4.3 kilometers, 15 turns in this current configuration. It is really a neat racetrack with a lot of very good flow, but you can see that the land here on which the track is built, zoned for housing until the 1929 stock market crash. Then they made a racetrack. That's the responsible thing to do, right, DJ?
Oh, completely and totally. In the midst of a financial breakdown, go ahead and build a racetrack. That's what I'm always in favor of. But it really does actually, because of that zoning that you talked about, create almost a claustrophobic atmosphere here at Interlagos. If you look up on the main straightaway, there are apartments and favelas right there pressing down on in. And so it kind of makes it feel just, as I said, claustrophobic, like you're right in the heart of the city, almost like you're running a straight track here, even though this is one of the longest serving purpose-built racetracks in the world.
A unique circuit and a lot less straightaway than we had last week at Road America as well. That's going to change how these cars race. Again, they're pretty nimble machines. These are Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars of the 992 generation. You see the Porsche Center North Toronto car of Jean-Guénon Renault, who's been very competitive, has a couple race wins here this season, currently second on the timing and scoring. But Zoran Radosavich is the quickest driver for now at a 1:34.806. He's the fastest man so far in qualifying.
Yeah, he's going to be the one everyone's trying to come in on. And as we've talked about here, the rules that are different, you're not allowed to take that toe back down into pit lane. If you want to try to be able to get a pit stop here during the course of qualifying, you've got to bring the car in manually. And that's exactly what they're doing. A little bit earlier than I necessarily would have thought they would. I would have thought that they would try to run this to the halfway point of qualifying. But clearly, Radosavich has some other ideas as Bouchard jumps up to the top of the charts.
Yep, and La Charité took it away a moment ago, but then the 73 jumped to the top of the board, as he did with a 1:34.370. That was his third lap of this qualifying session. And we do have an on board with Phil Bouchard here this week, as we have. Thanks again to Team Rive Sud for giving us some awesome insights here into what their drivers are doing. And again, we have some other drivers here joining us, Guillaume Levesque as well. There he is in the 888. He has joined us from his Porsche Center. He's running third right now, a really strong qualifying effort there by the 888.
Yeah, very strong, but I love that we get to see those camera angles there that they are providing to us, because you can see a little bit of a look of frustration there on the face of Guillaume, just not thinking he got that corner down the way he wanted to, and doing a little bit of teamwork here as they work their way through the infield section. Going to pick up a little bit of aero wash at this point at the track, but it'll help them out here once they come out of junction.
Also, that one of the drivers that was up towards the front a couple of laps ago was this driver, Giuliano Romagnolo, in the number 55. He has started popping up as of late in the series standings at the tail end of race 2 in particular. He is a tough man to pass, DJ. Really has been in the show in race 2 as of late, and I expect he'll be the same tonight.
Yeah, he very much has been. He's kind of made his bread and butter there in race 2 as one of those drivers that knows how to make that Porsche Cup car very, very wide. And that's certainly something that is a feat that you need to learn how to do. Make sure you get it right, because defense is the way to be able to hold on to everything. So we'll have to see if he's able to carry on another good performance here today in race 2. Now he's a little far down the order to be looking good in race number 1.
Alex Ellis up to 9th place in the Porsche Center Markham team car by himself again here tonight. And Andrew Caron, who's won a couple of races as of late, including last time out at Road America. He is on track now. He's run 4 laps, none have counted so far. This is one of those places where we talk about track limits, DJ. You can find yourself off course in a number of places right there at the top of the hill. This is turn 6, but looking down at turn 4 and 5 there, you can see that runoff. That is not fair play here at Interlagos, and if you go beyond the green, white, and yellow curbing, that will count as an off track. There's a couple places, though, where you can get pretty aggressive. The entrance at turn 12, that is a rumble strip out there. That's fair game, even beyond the white line.
Yeah, very much is, and you're going to want to take it all the way out there as much as possible to try to keep as much minimum corner speed as possible coming through the junction. That's that crucial corner that we talked about that leads onto the straightaway here. Is Racine Fazui. Now he's going to be coming up through Ferradura right now. This is one of those sneaky areas where you can occasionally see a pass done, but as it leads then into SA, it gets very, very difficult to try to pass. Although I have seen, as recently as last night, Kyle, some fantastic 2-wide action in that section of the track.
You can get side by side in so many corners here. It's like climbing up a mountain. It's got switchbacks every couple hundred feet. And so if you can maintain position alongside your competitor, you can go from the right and be on the wrong part of the racing line to then the next corner. If you can stay alongside, you'll have the preferred racing line. It's just about keeping overlap here. That's a critical factor if you want to move forward. Simon Theriault in the number 89, how about him? Up to 5th place. That's a really strong effort here for the number 89 team and Porsche Center Victoria.
Yeah, very, very strong effort. He's going to be very pleased with that. As I take a look here at some of the times, particularly quick through Sector 2. So that's a good launch. That's good for them to be able to get that run. That's really going to be pretty much Descida do Lago. So clearly nailed down that corner and knows how to feel very well. The other thing with Tyria here is that he was able to set the fastest time out of anyone through Sector 4. Now, I'm talking micro sectors here. Now, that is going to be the run from the Duckspill into the junction. So part of that infield circuit, that looks like it's where Tyria is really gaining up the time.
Gregory Hovesen, another driver that is impressing so far here in qualifying, up to 8th place. His teammate Andrew Caron right behind him. They're trying to go a little bit quicker here before the end of qualifying, and this is another Porsche Center Halifax team car. And we talked a lot last week about drafting and slipstream and jumping in on the brakes. One thing that Road America doesn't have much of is braking zones that are curved and cornered. Here at Interlagos, almost every braking zone is either immediately before, directly after, or in a corner. And DJ, these cars don't have anti-lock braking, at least they don't have that setting enabled, and that creates an enormous challenge. When you don't have a lot of weight over the front wheels with these rear-engine cars, getting these things slowed down without dragging a front tire is really challenging, and we'll see these drivers fight that a little bit tonight.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if we see a little bit of tire smoke coming off of these cars as a few drivers potentially lock up the fronts through some of these very, very tricky corners. But what you've got to do to be quick around here in those braking zones, Kyle, is throttle manipulation. You have got to constantly be moving that left foot and never just keeping it steadily down with pressure. You've got to be checking it. You've got to be making sure that you're giving it just the right amount of pressure. That's going to be the way to get a successful run through here. And the best of drivers can do that with ease. Other drivers may struggle with it a little bit.
Yeah, and as far as equipment goes in the sim racing world, you don't need to have the most expensive stuff to be fastest, but having some nicer equipment to let you be more consistent, that's where that's going to pay off, is really in the braking zones in a car like this that is so technical and so challenging to get stopped when the competition level is this fierce. So I think you'll see some drivers really use their equipment to their max tonight. And right now, it's Phil Bouchard, Racine Fazui, Jean-Ganon Renault, and Antoine Lecharity, and then Simon Theriault in that number 89 running P5. That hasn't changed much over the last couple of minutes. Chris McGraw in the 379 chasing his teammate. That's the third place car, but Chris McGraw in the 379 running in 13th right now.
Yeah, running in 13th right now. Not looking like a whole lot of movement up at the top of the charts here. And with only about, let's call it 6.5 minutes left to go in qualifying, I don't really expect to see that many times starting to fall. It's kind of a tradition that we've seen here in this series, Kyle, that as qualifying goes on, those times just kind of level out.
Yeah, they level out. Some drivers will opt to go really late in the session, and for Andrew Caron, you have to start wondering and maybe worrying a little bit, am I going to get a fair, legal, clean time in? His best lap, or his last lap, was a 1:39.9, but I think he's working on towing Hovesen right now, and once he gets Hovesen as far up the board as I think he can get him by towing him along, he's going to run his own lap. But that's pretty late in the session, and if you invalidate one or two of those laps, which is really easy to do at the exit at turn 4, you're going to be in trouble and have to start from the tail of the field. We saw that last week a couple of times.
Yeah, we certainly did, and that's the last position you want to be in. It is easy to overtake here at Interlagos, but you don't want to have to put yourself in that position. As they're the teammates letting a driver out on by. They're going to tuck up in line right now as they come down through the Senna S, trying to build themselves around, trying to get a little bit of speed and momentum. That's going to be good news. Is Jean-Gagnon Renault proving me wrong? Jean-Gagnon Renault coming up to P2.
Up to second place. That's a good lap. Puts him still 0.2 off of Phil Bouchard. That 73 has run a really solid quick time. Matt Adams, by the way, there he is. And he was one of the drivers that got involved in a collision on the opening lap of the race in race 1. Got himself buried, kind of drove through the pack, had to redo it again in race number 2, and ended up with a decent result. But the speed has been there. The consistency has really not been for Matt Adams, but right now 13th. I'm sure he's looking for a little bit more before the start of the race.
Yeah, and he should be able to have it here. Now, he is going to be coming out directly behind. That looks to be Gustavo Foisier right in front of him, and a big run of cars in front of him there doing a little bit of weaving. So as they try to build up speed here and get a good draft, that's what Adams is going to be hoping for. But with this many cars in front of him, that's not going to be the best thing.
Yeah, pretty traffic-filled right now, and see Foisier run a little bit wide. And I saw some green up at the top of the board. It was Guillaume Levesque taking over second place in the 888. That's a really strong run. And Guillaume has been lingering plenty in the top 3, top 5, but the wins, I think he's probably been due for a couple more than he actually has. And starting on the front row is a really good way to start your weekend. But the challenge that we have seen, and we talk about this every single week, DJ, is race 1, a driver can go up there and win the race. Race 2, when that field inversion kicks in, they have a really hard time driving forward.
Yeah, they've got a very difficult time trying to work their way up through the field, even at tracks that are easy to overtake, like we talked about last time out at Road America, one that is known for plenty of spicy battles throughout the entirety of the circuit. It's just really a testament here to the drivers in this field that if they're able to get themselves into a position to be able to take away a win, they're not going to let it go. And so I think we're going to start seeing a little bit of that strategy play out that we've talked about. Maybe some drivers in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, they're going to be fighting, trying to hold on to that 10th place position because they know that's going to put them in great standing.
Antoine Lacharité in the 21 up a couple tenths of a second on his best lap right now, and chasing team car up the hill. Richard Hibbs, Stephen Warkup trading spots for 23rd and 24th. Giovanni Romano's down there in 25th. Christopher Cook not able to qualify. He was the driver considered at fault for that lap 1, turn 1 collision last week. He will not get to put a qualifying lap in, and Justin Ream has not yet put a time in as well. No quicker for Lacharité that time by. Josh Manalo's up, though. Let's see where he is on track. He is entering turn number 6 right now.
He's going to catch a little bit of that dirty air from the car in front of him. That's going to be Richard Hibbs in the number 51 machine. So we'll get a little bit of that turbulence, but it'll all come back to play here. Once he comes out of junction and onto the main straightaway, he'll start to be able to get a little bit of a tow. So we'll have to see how he does. Taking a look at those micro sectors, was quick through sector 1, so that's a good foreboding image for him.
Giovanni Romano jumped a whole bunch of spots. Hovason up to 6th. And Caron up to 11th. So those team cars working together, that paid off for them. They're both inside the top 15 for the start of the race now. Really good lap for Hovason, by the way, a 1:34.609. See him climb up to that top half of the ticker as the bottom 10 are rotating around through the rest of the order. And here comes Manalo, who it looked like he was going to be up on his time, but I don't think it's going to stay that way. Lost a little time in turn 12. And this time through, his best was a 1:34.7. This is a 1:37.1, so bailed out of that one.
Yeah, not going to be able to improve there at this point. Let's take a look a little farther back down in the field at Romagnolo, currently 19th. We expect a little bit more out of Juliano. He's going to come across the line right now. And is that going to be an improvement for the number 55? No, it is not. He is going to stay where he is at a 1:35.2.
Yeah, again, not a lot of shuffling. We've seen really the top 5 have traded amongst themselves, but we haven't seen a lot of shuffling. As you mentioned, whoa, the 5 car spun off course there, right at the exit of the Senna S, but or Curvo du Sol rather. Yeah, usually you'd see drivers kind of maybe pip the timing and scoring a little bit later in the session once they've gotten some tires warm and things of the sort. But here, we have not seen a lot of that. I just want to put the spotlight real quick on Kevin Norris, relatively new the championship, getting tagged in for Porsche Center Langley. And in 28th right now with chasing another car, trying to find some more time before the session's over.
Only 45 seconds left on the clock here at this point, so not a whole lot of time left to go. Let's see if Kevin's going to be able to improve that time of a 1:35.702. Going to be about 0.3 of a second off there for Kevin.
Yeah, and it actually looks like it got thrown away too, so potentially an off-track there. The rest of the field, though, wrapping up their last qualifying efforts. Here comes Racine Fazui in the number 58. Will he go quicker than his current best at 1:34.526? It was last time around across the stripe for Fazui, and it is a 1:34.565, a little bit off.
Yeah, but look, that impresses me there, Kyle, because he's only about 0.04 of a second off of his best time. And so what that tells me is that he's got a lot of good consistency underneath that car. Young Gagnon Renault, not going to be able to get it done in time, though, as the checkered flag flies for qualifying.
Yeah, qualifying complete here for the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada, round number 7. This is race number 1. Remind you of our race format. We start with a 15-minute sprint, and then we head into our 30-minute race, which is our slightly longer one, pays a little bit more points. points. That's really the big one everyone's going to be fighting over a little bit later in this race, DJ, or this night, DJ. But again, this first race pretty critical because it does pay points, and you want to be up front, give yourself the best chance possible.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, if points are on the line, you do not want to put yourself in a position where you are going to be lacking for those points. So you definitely want to find yourself doing as much as possible to work your way through the field.
Well, let's go through our starting lineup. We have a little bit of time to do this because we go for a lap and a half of safety car before we turn them loose, but let's kick things off with our first row. Kicking things off, row number 1, it's going to be Phil Bouchard for Porsche Center Rive Sud. Racine Fazui alongside of it's a Rive Sud lockout up front on that first row.
It is indeed in third place, though. It is their biggest rival when it comes to the Teams Championship, and that is going to be the Lausanne Porsche Center with Guillaume Levesque in third place. Jean Gagnon Renault for North Toronto in the number 18 finds himself in fourth.
Antoine Lacheritte for Porsche Center Lausanne in fifth place, the points leader alongside Greg Hovesen, who got a really strong run for Porsche Center Halifax with his teammate not too far behind.
Vincent Trepanier for Edmonton is going to be lining up in P7, followed by Porsche Center Halifax's Andrew Caron in 8th place.
Row 5 is Simon Theriault out of Porsche Center Victoria in the number 89 car. Josh Manalo for Porsche Center Vancouver in 10th in the number 86.
11th place is a driver you're going to want to watch out for today. Zoran Radosavich in the number 34, starting off in 11th place. Then it's Gustavo Foisier in the number 23 in 12th.
In 13th place, it's Blake Townend for Porsche Center Winnipeg in the number 57. Alex Ellis kind of holding down the fort for Porsche Center Markham. He rolls off 14th.
15th position will be Matt Adams in the Mark Motors Porsche Center number 17. Then Chris McCraw for the North Toronto Porsche Center lines up 16th.
17th place, Etienne Leger for Porsche Center Mark Motors in the number 2. And Giovanni Romano for Porsche Center London in 18th in the number 337.
19th is Juliano Romagnolo for the Oakville Porsche Center in the number 55. And then Adrian Paluch lines up P20 in the number 7.
And row number 11, Alex Bergeron for Porsche Center Quebec. And Nathan Bartley, 22nd, the number 37 car for Porsche Center Calgary.
In 23rd, it's Josiah Farrow in the number 915, followed by Nicholas Michel there in the number 11.
In 25th place, it's Brody Goebel. We've seen a lot of pace out of the number 69 for Porsche Center Vancouver. And Stephen Warcup for Porsche Center Edmonton, 26th in the number 4.
27th is Richard Hibbs from Porsche Center Richmond into the number 51, and then Caven Norris, who we were following a little bit earlier in the 774, he'll line up 28th.
29th place, Enzo Johansson for Porsche Center Quebec in the number 91, and Arnaud Genet from Porsche Center Saskatchewan starts 30th in the 312.
The Mercedes starts off 31st in the downtown Toronto Porsche Center number 88, followed by Justin Nazier in the number 27.
33rd place, Nicky Chan for downtown Toronto. The 000 alongside Jean-Philippe Dubois for Porsche Center Saskatchewan in 34th.
35th is Dylan Bourget in the Prestige Porsche Center's number 52. And then 36th is Christopher Cook, who was served a penalty.
Yeah, so he will start at the tail of the field. There is Justin Ream in the server as well, but he is not currently on the racetrack. He might be starting from the pits here tonight. Interlagos and the 7th round of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. Thanks for joining us tonight. The winner of this championship is going to get a chance to go to the Porsche Experience Center and enjoy a drive in a Porsche, as well as tons of other prizes, iRacing and Bose prizing for lots of the drivers in this field, all the way down, I think, 20th in the championship. One last look at our season standings before we go green. This is the driver you're looking for on the timing and scoring. It's Antoine Lacheritte. He's going to roll off in 5th. He's your points leader over Racine Fazui, who starts in 2nd. And Lausanne and Rive Sud, those are your 2 leading Porsche centers in the championship as far as the teams go.
Well, and what's going to be crucial here is when we talk about that championship battle up at the top of the charts here, Fazui and Bouchard both racing for the same Porsche Center here. So there's probably going to be some communication going on back to be able to make sure that Lacheritte is held behind. If Fazui's able to get into the lead, watch for Bouchard to act as a little bit of a rear gunner and try to prevent that number 21 from getting by at all costs.
Well, the field is getting set to go racing. I heard that the track temperature was 52 degrees Celsius, DJ. That is hot. That means that we're going to be slipping and sliding all over the place tonight and keeping grip under the car. Maybe for 15 minutes, not an extraordinary challenge. For that 30-minute race, though, tire temperature and maintaining pace over the course of the race, that will be on the list of challenges that await the 36-car field for this penultimate round of this 2023 championship.
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking a lot about tire wear when we get into the feature race. And by the way, the conversion on that is about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is toasty. You're going to have to keep these tires underneath you, especially in that second race. But I also think with track temperatures just as hot as they are, and by the way, 57% humidity, that's really what's contributing to that big amount of heat on the track. I think you're going to have that as, that's the Triple A. That's Levesque in pit lane.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but Guillaume Levesque is not currently also, he was one of the drivers in our call for driver cams. He is not there anymore. So that's huge news for a driver that's running well in the championship, and it's going to shift and shuffle the starting lineup here just a little bit. So the Triple A not going to make it to the green flag in time for the start of this race at least.
Well, if there's a big kerfluffle coming into turn one, that could be a little bit fortuitous for Levesque, but I think as clean as we've seen these races be, really the exception to that one race in Road America, I think this is going to put Levesque at a very big disadvantage.
Yeah, you almost wonder if it's connection related. You don't have tire failures or equipment failures of any kind here in iRacing, but you do have the internet to make sure that there's a little bit of random in what is otherwise a very planned out championship format. The drivers put so much work, the Porsche centers put in so much work to put on this entertaining battle to determine a championship winner for 2023. This is round number 7 from Interlagos. The Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada is green, and the 73 gets a clean launch away. Racine Fazui to the inside down for turn number 1. They're 3 abreast into the first corner.
And that's not altogether surprising there. They are going to keep it together. I did see Levesque pull out of pit lane, so that's good news for fans of the Triple Lane. It looks like down through the Senna S, everybody clear now. Let's see. We've got a spin in the back.
There is going to be big trouble back there if they don't get off the racetrack. There's several drivers involved. Brody Goebel's one of them, and so Johansson, Rudzitis, and more. We'll check in with that a little bit later as more cars pile in. We'll go back and look. But up front, Phil Bouchard leads the way.
Bouchard leads the way. Fazui hunting in behind. Good little battle here, starting to develop for P3 at La Charity and Jan Gagnon Renault, trying to be able to catch on in on each other. And don't look now, Gregory Hovesen there as well, side by side, farther back in the field for about P10. That's going to be Radisavage and Manalo.
Yeah, Manalo working over Radisavage. Started in 10th, and here's a dive here. And Guillaume Levesque, by the way, in that Triple A, up to 18th place already. So he's already putting the pedal to the metal to try to get back in this fight. You see, he has reconnected to the server. That's why his graphics are empty, DJ, and that means that he must have had some kind of failure or connection issue. That was maybe crisis averted, but he's got work to do.
Yeah, certainly does have work to do as we take a look at him here at this point, just trying to work his way through the field. The biggest thing, doesn't want to get too greedy at this point, doesn't want to go for moves that aren't there. You've got to play this smart, you've got to play this right if you are the driver of that Triple A. Here is Adrian Paluch, though, up a couple of positions as he runs.
Out front, here comes Bouchard and Racine Fazui, the Reeve Sud drivers that are just trying to put a lockout here. Are they going to push? Yes, they will. A little bit of teamwork here in the early stages of this one.
Yeah, and I think that's a really smart call here. Remember, especially with Levesque being starting from pit lane, that number 21 of Antoine going to be very difficult. As here we've got a little bit of side-by-side coming down through the Senna S. That is going to be Trepanier and Thierry.
There's Trepanier and the number 87. He's the black and red car on the inside lane. The 89 is going to chase him over, and Radisavage has both of them in the sights as they head down to turn number 4. Look at Radisavage sweeping to the left and trying to pick which lane is going to be the more successful one here to take a swipe through. He's going to follow the 87.
Oh, that was some hair-raising stuff down into the Cité du Lago. That's going to allow Trepanier to go and get on through. I told you to keep an eye on Zoran Radisavage. He may not be done yet. Takes a little bit of a look as they come up the hill into Ferradura, but not going to get it to play.
Ducks in behind for the time being. Let's go back and see if we can find out what happened at the initial start of the race. There's about 6 or 7 cars that are on pit lane with pretty significant damage. So here's a look from high above. Was there contact there? And around they went.
Yeah, and from there on out, Kyle, it's just the domino effect. It is just absolutely nowhere to go as the track really does narrow down through that right-hander of the Senna S, and it's just drivers, frankly, trying to scramble to find a way on through.
I think it was the 69 of Brody Goebel. That was the first one that got turned around in that mess. And here's another look at it from a different angle right here. Kind of crowds the 337 a little bit, and then back across the racetrack, and from that point on, it's just game over for anyone that piled in there. Good news is the engines in these Porsches are in the back, so you can get away with a little bit of contact, but too much is going to damage that car beyond repair. Battle for 4th place, Gagnon Renault and Hovesen.
Yeah, Hovesen looking very racy here today, and the one problem with that, though, is it's going to allow for Andrew Caron, who's a very, very quick driver in his own right, to be able to close back on in. There's a bird's eye view of Greg. It's going to be about equidistant here between Gagnon Renault and Caron, so he's just got to focus on the road here at this point. There's nothing he can really do. I don't expect a move going down into the City du Lago, and indeed, he's going to keep it together.
You can use the curbs here a lot. You see the left side tires get up onto the curbing. Very wide, flat for the most part curbing here, so you can extend your track a little bit and kind of cut the corners, especially when you get into the tighter stuff here. At turn 7, 8, 9, 10, you can really put 4 tires over the top of the curbs. Watch this as they turn in. Watch how much racetrack they're using every little bit. As long as it's fair game, you'll see drivers driving on it.
Yeah, you certainly will. You've got to watch out, though. I've seen more than a few drivers get those right side tires off to the inside just a little too much. Got to pick up a 1X, and those will start to stack up quickly as we take a look out the back there of Gagnon Renault. Big iRacers lean there for the number 18, something that we're used to him doing. It's in rare form here tonight. Yeah,
and these corners are so tight. And we've seen Jan kind of do that sim racer lean, that iRacing lean that you call, that just makes you feel like you're turning more and turning harder and can see better. It doesn't really do anything, but it's just a mental effect. It helps you. And in the left-handers, it doesn't seem quite as severe. But when he goes to the right, he's really leaning into it. But trying to hold off Gregory Hovesen, who's had a really strong start to this race. And for second place, La Charité down the inside of Fazui. They touch down in turn 1.
A little bit of banging doors there, but look at this. Fazui able to get the run through the second part of the Senna S. Now as they come through the Curva do Sol, it's going to favor back to La Charité. Here he comes right now. Let's see if he's able to keep that power ahead. Woo! There's not quite enough to get the crossover as Fazui's going to try to hold this out down to the City du Lago.
Now to the outside of turn 4. Can he use up the 58? Can La Charité push him wide? No, he leaves him plenty of space. Great clean racecraft there. This is a battle for the championship. These are your 2 championship leaders, and they are door to door, mirror to mirror into turn 6 here at Interlagos with just a round and a half left to go, chasing each other nose to tail, and that brought in Gagnon Renault and Hovesen right back into the fight.
And Fazui shuts the door coming down through Ferradura. That's going to buy him about a half a lap of breathing space here at this point. Now watch for him. What he's got to do here is if Fazui, or if Antoine remains that close behind him, watch him to try to back up the corner here coming through the junction. If he's able to get him on the back foot, that's going to be enough to give him some breathing space down the front straightaway.
Almost a sly little smile on that face. He's right now, I'm sure, stressed out, but right now, look at what Phil Bouchard is able to do. Drive away. He's playing rear gunner right now as the rest of the field stacks up. La Charité, Gagnon Renault, Hovesen, and Caron is now in the mix. It is a 5-horse race for second place.
Yes, it is, as we keep an eye on the draft here at this point. La Charité going to move to the outside there on a big move. Fazui's going to go in and cover him off. We're not going to see enough of it there, as Fazui did exactly what he needed to do. Backed up the train a little bit, coming through the junction, was able to get a good launch, and that bided him some time there at this point. Now, it looks like coming through the Curva du Sol, I don't think La Charité has it here at this point. It's not quite close enough to be able to bring it in. And now look at this. Gagnon Renault maybe even looking at a little bit of a move.
Yeah, strong run for the 18 up onto the straightaway here. As we got a battle behind them, 888 of Guillaume Levesque moving past Alex Bergeron. Remember, the 888 started from the pits, had a disconnection issue, came back in. Pacing had already begun, so he will roll off. He rolled off the 20th place. He's made it back up about 15 spots. And Richard Hibbs in the 51, he has just come down pit lane for Porsche Center Richmond. So not exactly sure what happened to him, but potentially some damage, cutting his first race short.
Yeah, and we've got about 6 cars in pit lane here at this point as a couple of drivers. I think a lot of that as a result of that opening lap. So check in here, a little bit of good battle going on through that infield section here at the moment. That's going to be Levesque trying to close down on Chris McGraw.
Yeah, McGraw, teammates with the driver that's running in 4th right now. And he has his hands absolutely packed full of that 888. Here's a look on board McGraw's machine for Porsche Center North Toronto.
Yeah, he's got to be looking at his rearview mirrors here pretty extensively. Wasn't able to get the run that he really wanted to coming out of the junction as the 888 of Levesque already looking down to the inside, going down to the inside as they cross over the pit lane entry. This is going to be advantage Levesque here at this moment. Is he able to slot in front? Yes, he is. That was textbook.
Yeah, pretty orderly single file for the rest of the field at the moment. Romagnolo closed in on Bergeron here as McGraw and Levesque traded places, so a bit of a fight kicking off here for about 14th place. Up front, though, no changes, no challenges. Bouchard leads by 2.2 seconds. That gap is coming back down. It's interesting, when Fuzui had to stop playing defense, he was able to get right back on offense and start reeling in that 73, his teammate again.
Yeah, but it's only down by about 1/10 of a second on that last lap, so I think he may run out of time here at this point with only 6 minutes left to go in this race. He may just kind of have to concede that Bouchard will win this race. The crucial thing, though, he's got to finish ahead of that 21, his championship rival, and right now he's doing it.
All about nipping away points where you can. Last week at Road America, those two drivers, Fuzui and Lecherte, tangled late in the going in race number 2. There was a penalty assessed, and the last thing you want to do is turn this championship into a penalty fight. These drivers don't want to go in and rub shoulders with each other. That's not how this championship should be decided. They both know that. They don't want to do it, but the intensity level is so high, it's just hard not to get your elbows out there when you're side by side, especially at a racetrack that's as tight and twisty as this one.
Yeah, exactly, Kyle, and that's what we talk about when we talk about the red mist is, Romagnolo getting involved in a little bit of how you doing there coming off at the junction. That's going to set things up very, very interestingly, as Leger is going to be riding around in 18th place right now. Now that is Romagnolo directly up in front of him, Alex Bergeron up the road. Leger going to be getting a double draft here at this point, but I think that's going to come to naught as the 55 tries to make a move to the outside.
And he's going to sweep to driver's left for turn number 1. Late on the brakes. Can he get it stopped? He's going to slide wide. Bergeron crosses over. He loses control of the car for a moment. They're going to bang doors. Bergeron runs wide, and Leger's going to pass both as the 12 hammers the tire bundles. He's in the wall.
And that could not have worked out any better for Etienne Leger there at that point. But absolute heartbreak there for Bergeron there. As you mentioned it, Kyle, the rear end of that car absolutely stepping out. And just contact there when they were starting to put in steering input to get through the second part of the Senna S. And that was just enough to be able to send that number 12 spinning around.
Yeah, I have a hard time deciding who was the naughty one there, but either way, the stewards will have a look at it post-race and determine any penalties moving forward. But Bergeron got the worst end of that. Absolutely. There's Brody Goebel, who we saw involved in that lap 1 collision in Curva du Sol. So he's working over a spot. And Gustavo Fozzier's in the wall, the 23.
All right, now that's a little bit of an odd area to have that happen. That's going down into Perejeño, I believe. Let's take a look at this. All right, so he's going to come down here into SA. Brings the car around. Did he try to bite off a little bit more than he could chew? Contact there, and that was what sent him around. And
that was contact with Matt Adams. And while we were watching that, there was more trouble. This time, Josiah Farrow and Caven Norris came together. What happened here between these two? Ooh, there might have been some front to rear. I got to go back a little bit further.
Let's take a look here at this point. This is the same portion of the track. Takes a look down to the inside of SA, and there the 915, I've got to say, for Josiah Farrow, that's a completely legitimate line there for him, really trying to arc that corner as much as possible, and I think it's a little bit of a sloppy overtaking job there that came back to bite.
Yeah, Norris got into the back of him there, certainly, and that's going to hurt as now Warcup and Romano almost have it coming together there. Warcup grabbing 19th place away from the 337 for Porsche Center London. Been a tough lap for that crew. And for third place, Lecherte playing defense now. We haven't seen this a whole lot this season. He's been on offense most of the time, but Jean-Ganaud Renault is right in the mix now, battling for that podium spot.
Yes, he is. And Gagnon Renault would love to be able to take this away from him here at this point. Really trying to look here, trying to find some disadvantages as they run. Not sure how close he's going to be able to get. Not sure how good of a run he's going to be able to get here. Oh, that is the biggest lean I think I've seen Gagnon ever give.
That's what I was saying earlier. The right-handers tonight, he's really got the sim racer lean going on. And Gregory Hopeson, what a drive he has had tonight. A really strong performance, and it's not done yet. He's still got opportunities to make up spots, especially if these two in front of him tangle. He's got his teammate, race winner from last week, right behind him too, in support. So without the crosshairs on you, you can focus on somebody else.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what Hoveson wants to do here at this point. He's just going to be focused in, going to take a little bit of a look to the outside, defended there ever so slightly by Gagnon Renault, and they're going to stay single file as they come down into the Senna S, but these moves have got to get done here quickly, Kyle, as we've only got 2 minutes left to go.
Running out of time. We should expect the white flag next time by. That would be 1 lap to go. Guillaume Levesque still trying to salvage something out of this race. He's up to 12th place. Adrian Paluch and Nathan Bartley side by side. Paluch in the 70, Bartley the white car on the inside, the 37 for Porsche Center Calgary. He's through into P17.
And just those last little bit of maneuvers there to try to get it in under the wire, because remember, race 2 will be gridded by the final finishing order of race 1 with that invert up at the top. So you've got to be cognizant of it. You've got to make sure you know where you are. Currently right now, this is the driver that holds on to it, Manalo, but I think Matt Adams may want to try to take away that race 2 pole if he can help it.
It is such a powerful position to have as the battle behind them continues. Romagnolo and Etienne Leger. But certainly that battle for 10th is going to be as hot as the one for the lead as we watch the 55 try to cross over Etienne, but Etienne doesn't fall for it. Again, the switchback section here, you just have to maintain overlap, but that's easier said than done when accelerating out of the corner too early means you're in the grass.
Yeah, it certainly does. You've got to be very, very cognizant. You don't want to pick up that little bit of understeer that'll throw you off into the outside. You've got to play it absolutely perfectly. It's kind of what it did there at this point. Let's see. Come out of junction. Past Subidos, those boxes. Looks like we could see a little bit of a play there. We could see that yellow and black machine under a little bit of pressure.
There's the white flag. Last lap for Phil Bouchard. Pick up a victory for Porsche Center Rive Sud. But into turn number 1. Battle is for 10th right now. Adams and Manalo and Guillaume Levesque. What a story that would be if he could rebound by grabbing 2 positions away, getting that invert, dropping him all the way to the front of the field, and that would be undoing basically that issue that he had earlier. That would be a great story, but it's a lot to ask.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask for here at this point, but he's not going to go
quietly
he's going to go for it.
it.
Here he comes, defending well was Adams, but that is not enough to hold off the charging Guillaume Levesque.
Oh, he ran him way wide at the exit of turn 4. He took that with conviction, and he's through now. Look at Blake Townend in the 57 trying to come back over. And was there a touch there? The 17 runs wide.
I think there may have just been the slightest little bit of touches there, but now with Levesque up into P11, his next sight is on Manalo, but he's running out of time to do it. I don't think he's going to have enough.
No, not six tenths back. Too much to do and too little time to do it. Meanwhile, Phil Bouchard rolls through turn number 11. He's going to head down to turn number 12, and that will send him back up the straightaway and back to the checkered flag here for Porsche Center Rive Sud. This is a big one here. The 73 comes up the hill after starting up front on pole. He's going to win this one by a handily 2-second gap. Phil Bouchard wins race 1 of round 7 of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada.
And great to be able to see Phil there. You can see the big smile on his face. Crucially, though, when we talk about that championship battle, Fuzui ahead of Antoine, and there it is, a 1-2 for Porsche Center Rive Sud, and that is exactly what Fuzui needed to do to try to keep his championship hopes alive.
Levesque got to within 0.2 of a second of Josh Manalo at the start-finish line. Here's what that looked like as they were coming up the hill. This was a heart-pounding moment, I'm sure, for Manalo as they came across the stripe nose to tail. Good battle there all the way back to the checkered flag. But for Phil Bouchard and Racine Fuzui, it was a Rive Sud lockout, and not only in qualifying, but for race 1. That's a great way to start the night.
Yeah, that's going to have some good feelings there for Porsche Center Rive Sud. I think one of the biggest things is La Charrette being there in 3rd and not being able to capitalize with his teammate starting in 11th in the next race. That's going to be pretty crucial to see how that'll shake it all out.
And a quick look down here through the order before we turn things over to race number 2 and talk with Phil Bouchard and others. Some drivers that didn't have such good luck in this race. Alex Ellis, 34th in this one, and Liam Rosaitis, Arnaud Genet, and more. But Christopher Cook didn't qualify, managed to get up to 27th place, one of the last drivers on the lead lap. So he will finish P27, it looks like, as now the session will tick on over. We'll lose our results for the time being. Let's talk, though, with Phil Bouchard out of Porsche Center Rive Sud real quick before we turn it back over to the racers. And we'll pull him in just a moment. And Phil Bouchard gets it done for Porsche Center Rive Sud for race number 1. Phil, that was a fun race, fun battle to watch behind you, but you had your teammate playing rear gunner. Take us through what you saw in the mirror, at least in this one.
I'd say I didn't really check my mirrors. I was mostly focused up front. I just want to say quickly a big shout out to Guillaume. Not sure what happened on the grid. I think he had like a technical issue. Like he's the main contender with me in the championship. We were tied on a 3rd place, so it's always like a sad thing if like something happens and you just can't race. You always want to kind of bring the fight at the track and see who's best. So hopefully he went back to P11, which is pretty amazing, starting I guess from the back of the grid. So yeah, he'll be right behind me for the next race.
Phil, congratulations. We'll let you get back to work here. But before you go, the race inverts have been pretty challenging to make up positions, and it looks like tonight overtaking is tricky. The track was pretty warm. Some clouds have come over the racetrack, though. How challenging is it going to be to move forward, and how far are you expecting to get?
We'll see. I mean, it's always a question of how many risks you want to take versus if you're going to get taken out or if you just stay there and take the points. So we'll have to kind of evaluate all this while racing. Hopefully, if I can get back to P1, I'll do, but there's some pretty quick drivers up ahead, so we'll see what we can do.
Phil, good luck to you. We'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
Well, certainly off to a good start for his evening. Same with his teammate, and it was cool to see him talk about the sportsmanship there, hoping that Guillaume didn't get stuck trackside without a way to compete. Guillaume did a great job and just was one spot shy of that invert.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate there for him, but he may be able to fight back. I mean, look at the result that he had there, Kyle. Absolutely just stomping his way through the field. I think now that we know that he is in the session and that there was a little bit of a problem, he's going to be on a great, great run to get up into that top 10 without question.
Race number 2 kicks off here in just a couple of moments. Again, a big thanks to all the people and companies that make this happen. Of course, Porsche for putting on this show in the iRacing simulator. Bose and Tag Heuer for being our partners here this season. Bose offering some awesome pricing for the competitors, and Tag Heuer for being the timing partner. Big thanks to, of course, Grid Engineering, as well as Apex V2R, making things happen behind the scenes, putting all this on. This is, I think, the 3rd or 4th year of this championship, DJ. It's seen some changes over the years, but the integration of the Porsche centers directly with the championship, tapping in some of their employees, some of their drivers, as well as hosting events at their venues. What a cool show it is, and a big thanks to them for coming on board again this season.
Yeah, it really and truly is. It's pretty spectacular to be able to see, and we are absolutely eternally grateful for those Porsche centers for working up and getting everything together the way that they are. Absolutely incredible stuff, and it's just created an absolutely wonderful championship to be able to watch, and one that keeps us guessing right until the very end.
And there's a good look at your points leader from his Porsche center, getting prepped to go racing here. He's going to start in 8th for this one. It's a tall task to move forward. We have seen him do it before, so we'll see how it stands. He's going to have Racine Fazui, his championship rival, starting basically right alongside him, kind of kitty corner there on the grid. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch. But Racine and Phil from Porsche Center Rive Sud are going to be right behind the Lausanne boys. This should be fun to watch. And again, we're going to have a pace lap and a half, but the clouds have come over the racetrack here at Interlagos Circuit, and that should cool things off a little bit, maybe add some grip to the mixture here. But I still think it's going to be challenging to make overtakes without a lot of straightaway draft and things like we saw last week at Road America.
Well, it hasn't cooled things down a little bit here, Kyle. It has cooled things down a lot. We are down to 83 degrees track temperature here at this point.
That's Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah, that's Fahrenheit. If it was 83 degrees Celsius, I think the track would be boiling. But we've got to remember that this was up into the 110s in that first race. So this has really changed things around. And that means that tire wear may not be as crucial as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, we were seeing track temp of north of 115 degrees Fahrenheit, north of 50 degrees Celsius for race number 1. And if we were to have this 30-minute race with that kind of condition, it would be melting tires after 30 minutes pushing as hard as these drivers are. They're going to get a little bit of relief for this one, though. Cooler track temps. That means higher grip. That also means you can be a lot more aggressive with the car, and it's not going to burn you if you step over the limit. We should mention that the pole sitter for this race is Josh Manalo. Here's your starting lineup on the left-hand side of the screen. Simon Theriault, Zoran Radosavich, Vincent Trepanier, the rest of your front 2 rows, and it's Caron, Olvesen, Ganon Renault, La Charité, Fazui, and Bouchard, the rest of your top 10. But this is an opportunity, certainly, for Josh Manalo from Porsche Center Vancouver.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we've seen up to this point, we've seen drivers really be able to make those cars pretty wide up at the front of the field, so if Manalo is able to hold it on, he may just be able to do that. And let's remember, he drove a pretty good race last time out. He held on to that 10th place position ahead of attacks from Guillaume Levesque, so that car is going to be one to keep an eye on here up at the front of the field.
And another one, Vincent Trepanier, we've seen him really be wide on defense. Think back to, I think it was round number 2 at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. He was right up in the mix, had a little bit of contact with Matt Adams, but he has been excellent on defense. Another driver that has taken advantage of the inverts, just like the driver here, the 06 for Porsche Center Halifax. Another driver that's really been on it in the inverted races. And if you can just maintain position, you don't have to be a front-running driver, meaning a podium finisher every event. If you can just get, 8th, 9th, 10th in race 1, you get those positions given to you for race 2, and all you have to do is cling to them.
Yeah, exactly, and that's really going to change the game here for those drivers is they've just got to try to hold on to it at this point. They know they've got the speed to be able to keep up where they are, and so we'll have to see how it all runs together here at this point. But I think, again, Kyle, one of the big things we've got to talk about, and I hate to bring it up, I hate to be the one to say it, but it's got to be that first sequence of corners. We saw a big kerfluffle there going into lap 1 on race 1. Are we going to see the same thing here today? I hope not. But it's a very high possibility that it could happen.
I've just noticed a lot of the times that the crashes and incidents aren't necessarily in turn 1. They really get to the exit of the Senna S. That's turn number 2. And as the track goes from right to left, that's when you see a lot of issues there. So it could certainly be a problem, and we'll look to it again. But so hopefully the drivers that were involved in the collisions in the first race can avoid this second one, Brody Goebel in particular. How fast is Brody? He just has struggled to get a clean weekend in and really show off the pace that he's got in that number 69 car for Porsche Center Vancouver.
Yeah, he's been one of the standout rookies here for me at this point in the championship. He's looked very strong, he's looked very good, and he's looked like he's been a force to beat here. The biggest problem is as you said, Kyle, it's just bad luck after bad luck that keeps coming back to bite him. And I've got to think here one of these days his luck is going to turn around.
All the way back at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve to start the season, was running up front, got involved in a collision and fell to the back. And starting 25th in this one, he's got work to do, work on his plate. But he has a teammate out front, and that's Josh Manalo in that number 86 for Porsche Center Vancouver. And Simon Theriault, again, strong qualifying run and representative for Porsche Center Victoria with the red and white colors. He's got Zoran Radosavich right behind him in that number 34. That's a Porsche Center Winnipeg car. Vincent Trepanier, we've mentioned lots of competitive cars up front, and a Porsche Center Halifax lockout of row number 3 for the start of this one. This is a 30-minute race, DJ, and our penultimate round of the season is going to come to a close after that 30 minutes.
It certainly is. All drivers looking at the pace car here at this point, waiting for it to pull off to the inside, and we'll be able to get racing here for our 30-minute feature race.
Here we go at Interlagos, the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada, round number 7, race number 2. Next race is going to be the part of the season finale. The field launches, and Josh Manalo is off to a great start. There are already 4 abreast behind them, leading down to turn number 1. It's going to get very tight. Lots of crossovers and switchovers into the first corner.
All right, here they go. Looks like the first couple of drivers are through that first corner nice and easily, but as you said, the right-hander here at the Senna S going to be where we saw that problem last time, despite going 3-4
spinner behind him!
I did it again.
Oh, right this time, Curva do Sol, and that's the 4 of Stephen Warcup spinning. I think a lot of drivers avoided it, but there was others off track that found themselves in trouble. We'll go over that in a little while, but looks like the 4 avoided major contact, and we'll continue.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to carry on here at this
Romano.
point.
Sorry.
Oh.
Giovanni Romano and I think Nathan Bartley are off course.
Yeah, looks like they are. Lots of drivers here running into problems early on. A little bit of side-by-side there for P2 as they all fight coming up into SM.
Oh, a little trouble there. The 89 gets some contact from Hovesen. Around the outside comes Trepanier, and that's Jean-Guinard Renault looking to get into the mix as well. Manalo leads, Radosavich second, Corona up to third, and it's a big battle behind him. And Fazui in the 58, the 21, they come together again and almost tangle at turn number 8.
And credit there to
big
the
crash.
Big crash.
That's Bouchard in the 73.
Oh, that is absolutely a tough break there for Phil Bouchard. The front end of that Porsche absolutely caved in. Thankfully, as you said earlier, the engine located in the rear, but that is not going to be a happily handling car.
Jean-Philippe Dubois is also around in the number 102 car. So big dramas here on the opening lap. We'll go over them once things get strung out a little bit more. But it's Manalo out front, Radosavich, Caron, your top 3. Then it's Hovesen, Trepanier, Theriault, Guinard Renault, Racine Fazui, and Lecharity. How do these two just continue to find each other on the racetrack, even when they're not leading?
They are absolute magnets for each other here at this point. Lecharity here, we ride on board with him as he tries to work his way through the field. Fazui right in front of him. These two know what's at stake here. Fuzui doing what he needs to do. He's going to try to take a little bit of a look here on Young Gagnon Renault. That's not going to play itself out. They'll be single file coming down to the Lago, and look at that 21 catching up with Lacharte.
If he gets held up here, which he almost certainly will, these drivers ahead of him are not slow, then it's going to cause that stack up, and that 21 will be right back in the fight behind them. Guillaume Levesque continues his climb forward in the 888 past the 55 of Romagnolo. He's up to 11th place. Romagnolo defensive now from Townend, and here comes Etienne Leger. He's the better of the two. No, he's not. Matt Adams is up in 10th, so looks like Mark Motors' team, both drivers inside the top 15 right now.
Good response there for the Mark Motors team. Is there we see a little bit of a look to the inside there for Matt Adams, trying to send it, or from Leger rather, sending it down into the corner on Blake Townend. He's going to have to go the long way around here down the left-hander, and he's going to lose out as they run.
And here comes Chris McGraw up the inside of the 379 at turn 12. Opportunistic dive, but gets alongside. Leger runs out wide. The camber falls away on that curbing, but he got a better run and should be able to carry it on. Meanwhile, for the lead, Manalo plays defense here up front.
Yeah, Manalo in very, very heavily defensive mode. Zoran Radosavich is going to be looking to the outside. He's got a little bit more overspeed as they come down into the corner. Is that number 34 going to be able to turn this out? He's got the advantage, and now it's going to favor him on the track as Caron looks on greedily, and Manalo loses 2 places in the space of 2 corners.
And look at the Porsche Center Halifax drivers, Caron and Hovesen in the mix. There's contact. Ooh. Manalo goes for a slide on corner exit. He almost got hooked off the front bumper of the 15. As here comes Caron to the outside at turn 4. That's a tough line to keep.
That's a tough line to keep, but he's going to keep it nonetheless. He's going to try to carry speed here through the second part of the Descida do Lago. They're going to be in a flat drag race. It's going to be Radosavich ahead by a hair. Now it's going to be Caron as they work up the hill coming into Ferradura.
Turn 6 now. Radosavich falls in line. Caron doing what he did last week at Road America, muscling his way ahead here in race number 2. Hovesen trying to do the same. Where did Porsche Halifax come from? They have showed up to party this week at Interlagos, and behind him, Trepanier, Manalo, Therio, and here comes Racine Fuzui. He's put a car between himself and the points leader.
All right, that's exactly what Fuzui wants to do, but now he's going to fall back a little bit as it looked like it was an attack from Ian Gagnon Renault, but now Fuzui's going to have the inside line as they come down through the left-hander. Don't really want to be going side by side here, coming down into the junction, and indeed, they're going to sort themselves out before they dump into the braking zone for turn 10.
Antoine trying to dispatch the 18 car, get him out of the way so he can focus again on the driver that he's trying to keep the advantage on in the championship, and that is that 58. Just one car up the road. Caron is through to second, and all he wants to do now is put distance on second, just like he did last week at Road America. Radosavich in second. Hovesen, Trepanier, Manalo back to 5th, but he's still clinging to it.
Yeah, still clinging on here at this point, and we're only 5 minutes down to go.
Oh, trouble! Turn 1, spinner!
Turn spin.
The 12 of Bergeron and the 379 of McGraw right in the middle of that first corner, but they'll pull away.
They'll pull away there. I can't tell if there was contact here, Kyle, or if this was frankly just spinning in sympathy. Merest of nudges there, it looked like.
The smallest touch I think you could possibly do. Meanwhile, Fuzui passed Therio for 6th place and puts another car between him and the championship leader. Look at Young Gagnon Renault to the inside, taking a swipe.
Renault is looking very, very racing here today, but I love what Racine Fuzui is doing. That's going to be Gagnon Renault taking another look down at the inside there of the 89 of Thierry, trying to be able to make that move. He's looking for moves here at all the places I wouldn't expect him to try to do it.
And he did not withdraw the nose of his car. He had overlap, and he was willing to turn the 89 around had he closed in a little tighter. There was a bit of contact, but they're going to both carry on and fight another lap. Lacharte is losing his grip on Fuzui as Fuzui's climb is out-accelerating, outpacing the 21s, and the championship will hang in the balance next week if Racine outperforms the 21 in both races tonight.
Yeah, very much so, and that is exactly what he is going to be hoping to do here today. Next up on his charts is going to be Josh Manalo. Manalo down 4 positions since the drop of the green flag. It looks like your pole sitter here in race 2 having a little bit of problems. I would not be surprised if Fuzui is able to get by him in a lap or 2.
Out front, Caron's lead has not really grown all that much. A pretty solid lap mirroring Caron's from Zoran Radosavich for Porsche Center Winnipeg. So a good drive shaping up here for the 34. Hovesen in behind. The performance he has put on this week, he has stepped up to the occasion, and here he is now running in 3rd place.
Yeah, he is really doing a great job, and a lot of folks here cheering for Gregory in the chat, so love to be able to see that. But he He is absolutely pushing and hustling here at this point, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility he's going to be able to close down on Rada Savage before this race is over.
A podium definitely possible, but Trepanier behind in that 87. He's been quick. He's been better on defense than on offense, but he is lingering. And Manalo hungry to get back up front, but then Racine Fazui lingering in the backdrop here. This number 58 from Porsche Center Rive Sud chasing down. He is hungry for a championship, and all he's got to do is pass a couple more cars and close that gap on the 21.
He's got to try to do it here at this point, and he knows what's at stake as it just continues to look like here that 21 machine bogged down behind Ian Gagnon-Renault, who has got to be said here is having one of the drives of his life here at this point. He's just unable to get by that pink Porsche here at this point. Looks like he's got a good run off of the junction. I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Can you believe that only 8 minutes have elapsed? We have 22 to go in this second race and final race of the evening. There is so much left to play out, so many chapters left to write in this book. But the top four still covered by just about 2 seconds, no, 1.2 seconds, and Trepanier looking pretty racy up here for third.
Yeah, I took a couple little looks there on Gregory Hovesen. Now, I don't know how committed of a move that was necessarily, if he was really trying to go for the move, if he was just trying to see if he could get Hovesen to bite there on a little bit of a defense, but one way or the other, certainly did not play out there for Trepanier, and he's going to have to stay in line.
You see now the recession of single file here. It just gets so challenging to find a way to get overlap in this section of the racetrack. The draft here on this run down to turn 4 is pretty critical. Romano and Alex Bergeron fighting for position. Is that 12 damage? You see a little bit of damage on the rear of this car, but it's not holding him back right now as they fight for 20th spot.
No, it's not holding him back here at the moment, although both cars having a little bit of a wiggle there coming out of the corner, and they try to keep things together. The 12 looking like Bergeron's going to be able to try to put this at bay, but Giovanni Romano with a good line holding him off going into Ferradura, and look at that. There's Adrian Paluch trying to take a little bit of advantage.
Yeah, he's showed up to play in this pool here, down to the inside at turn number 8. And now it will swing back advantage Bergeron here for turn number 9, which is the left-hander, and bring in Arnaud Genet in the number 312. That is the fantastic familiar blue and orange livery. And he is right here battling for this position as well.
Yeah, he is. Genet not looking like he wants to go too quietly at any of this. He is trying to keep himself involved as possible. Once again, as we've said so many times over the course of tonight, it's going to come down to the launch here off a junction. You saw the 70 there of Paluch taking that car very wide, trying to maximize the momentum. And I think that played to his advantage. He's going to be able to keep him. He's going to be able to keep Genet at bay for now.
And for 15th place, remember Christopher Cook could not qualify because of a penalty from last week. Gustavo Fouzier battling him here for position. Looks like Gustavo's going to wrestle that position back. But the 66, given how his night started, 16th place isn't so bad, and he's got time to knock that back down. And for 5th place, Racine Fazui has caught Manalo.
I figured this was going to be a matter of time here for the number 58 machine. There you see that steely determination on board as we watch him. He's going to try to have a look there into Ferradura. That's not going to play itself out. I like that there for Fazui. He could have gone for that move if he wanted to, but that was a high-risk opportunity. He wants to get these positions. He wants to try to gain spots here on La Charité as much as he can, but he doesn't want to throw it away while doing it.
Yeah, and actually having a couple cars between him as he looks up the inside now, having a few cars between him and La Charité, that is going to leave him a little bit more ability to take his time and pick his move. With the 21 right behind him, if he were to linger at all, he would get pounced on. But for the moment, he's got a little bit of breathing room. He's going to take a look down here at turn number 12 on the inside and clear Manalo for 5th place. Fazui's up to P5.
Excellent maneuver there for Fazui. Manalo may have a little bit more to do, though, as it looks like Diamond Thierry is going to have a little bit of something to say about it as well, as he looks down to the inside there of Subidos dos boxes, and he's going to be able to get by your former pole sitter.
Here comes the 21 on Yonganon Renault. Battle for position here.
Oh, almost Noah's Ark coming down into the center S here at this point. Oh, looking around the outside, everybody's getting their elbows out.
Yeah, and I think the 18 is going to be fighting a losing fight here. Going to throttle up, though, and he's going to re-clear La Charité. That actually puts him at risk of losing his spot to Guillaume Levesque in the 888. And here comes Matt Adams in the 17.
Yeah, here they come going down the Retro Aposta here into the Ciudad do Lago, looking at a little bit of a move there for the 888 of Levesque, trying to dive to the inside of the 21 of La Charité. That's not going to play. And Antoine stays in line here at this point. Who can get the run out of the corner and back up the hill?
This has got to be so frustrating. He's dropped a spot from where he started, and he's just packed in behind traffic. All the while, Racine has put some more distance on, just nipping away points, and one car's way out wide. It's Manalo. It's going to open the door and move one of those cars out of the way. He'll lose 1, 2, 3 spots now as the AAA to Levesque tries to go the long way around here.
Yeah, but Levesque's going to lose a lot of time there going down through that right-hander. And indeed, he's able to get the run by the time they work into the right-hander here, but not the best as they run. That's going to lose him a good amount of time.
Up front, the lead remains at about 0.6 of a second, and the battles have mostly fizzled for at least the time being for the top spots, but the battles elsewhere in the field are still raging on here as we approach the halfway point of this race. Next time by, how about this one right behind Romagnolo and Matt Adams for 11th place.
Yeah, in all of these battles as Interlagos just continues to impress, continues to be great. We ride on board with the 55 of Romagnolo here, trying to make that run on Matt Adams. He's not going to be close enough, but you can see the snake in front of him. I think for Romagnolo here at this point, he's just waiting for some of these battles to fire off, and he'll be able to take advantage.
You know, you mentioned the snake and the back and forth nature of Interlagos. One of the things that drivers will try to do is to try to get ahead in the steering of the driver ahead of them. And what I mean by that is if you can just turn in a little bit later than they can and build a run a little bit better than they can, that's how you're going to get past them. If you follow directly in their tire tracks, you're not going to pass them. You're doing the exact same thing. You're going to go the exact same speed. You have to get ahead of them in the steering to get ahead of them on the racetrack. And that just means that you're setting up a run. And we might see this here if we look high above. Watch Matt Adams. He's a little bit wider on entry. Watch him turn in a little bit later, try to build a bit of a run here. It doesn't accelerate very much, but he turns in earlier here, just trying to get ahead of the steering.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant point there, Kyle. It's all about that anticipation of setting up the move 3, 4, 5 corners back, of just trying to build it. Though it does look like Romagnolo has been able to catch up a little bit through that section of the circuit, and now it's going to be that number 55 machine that's going to be trying to put a little bit of a press here up onto Matt Adams as they work their way through the junction.
Using all of the racetrack on driver's right. Again, the run down to turn 12, you see that kind of green rumble strip out there. It kind of makes a brrr noise when you jump on the brakes. That's really, it's kind of a concrete section that normally I haven't seen people race on in the real world, but here in iRacing, why not? It's got plenty of grip and makes a fun, cool noise when you stop on it too.
If it's got the grip, you might as well go for it. That's exactly what you need to do here. At this point, we give a little bit of love up to the front of the field here as we watch the battle between Zoran Radosavich and Gregory Hobson riding on board with the number 15 here at this point. Hobson trying to see if he's able to get a run. Love that from Radosavich. Moving this way, moving that way, trying to see if he can get a little bit of breathing room for himself.
Keep him guessing here. Turn 4 exit, so easy to run wide there. Look at the sun, especially if you're in virtual reality. I don't think any of the drivers that are with us on camera tonight are in virtual reality, but that sun is so bright, it is distractingly bright, and at certain corners it can definitely impair your vision. Not coming through here as much on the broadcast, but I promise you, HDR screen or VR, you will feel that burn, and Radosavich under fire from Hobson and Trepaniers right there as well.
Yes, they are, as here they come, working their way through that infield section. I like the pressure that we're seeing put on by Trepanier. He's being very, very patient with all of this. He's not going for an immediate move to try to get himself ahead. He's just waiting for this battle to fire off in front of him.
The turn 12. Radosavich turned in really late there, squared up the corner as best he could, just to try to keep an advantage over Hobson so he won't be under attack going into turn 1. Matt Adams, though, under fire from Romagnolo. And now Blake Townend has got both these drivers in his sights down the main straight.
All right, here they go. The number 17 of Matt Adams certainly going for it, trying to be able to see what they can do, trying to be able to get by Romagnolo once again. They're going to move to the outside. His teammates coming up from behind. Can he make this work going down into the set of S?
Braking duel into turn 1, and Romagnolo's through. Townend now opens the door, but gets slammed shut by Matt Adams. And here's the Mark Motors team car, the Etienne Leger machine, the number 2. He's joined this party. This is now for 13th place between him and Blake Townend.
Yeah, 13th place, not necessarily where I think these drivers would have liked to be competing, but still, nevertheless, very close there running down in City du Lago.
Keep an eye on Racine Fazui. another opportunity to put a car between himself and Le Charity. Remember when the Josh Manalo car slid out of the way? Now there's just 2 cars again between them, but here comes Racine to the inside of the 87 and trying to put an additional car between himself and that championship leader around the outside. What a pass for the 58.
What brilliant stuff there from Racine Fazui, absolutely putting in the work here, and that promotes him up into 4th place, exactly what he wanted to have happen as we continue to see what has to be said, a little bit of struggle here from Antoine Le Charity. Just doesn't look like he's got the pace to be able to keep up.
Now, we documented how challenging it is to pass, and a great example of this would have been to watch the 73 of Phil Bouchard climb through the field, but remember, he was involved in a big collision in the opening moments of this race, and you see all the damage he's got. He's running down in 23rd, or 26th rather, right now. He fell as far back as 35th, so there is a bit of a recovery here. But we didn't really get a good example of how hard it is to move forward, except for this, the fact that Le Charity's only really moved up, effectively nowhere, and here's a spot he's trying to get away from Jean-Guinan Renault.
Yeah, but Gagnon Renault, as we said, having an absolutely stellar drive out here today. He might find it going by the wayside now, as it looks like Le Charity is going to be able to bring a little bit more speed around the outside. Gagnon Renault, look for him to maybe go defensive. Maybe he's going to try to hold that outside line. No, he's going to keep it in line here, and Le Charity not going to go for the overtake.
And with Fazui up to 4th, and maybe possible to steal a podium out of this, the way the points work out, you're going to be much better off on the podium than not, and I think it's a little bit out of the question for Le Charity now. We're well past halfway. We have 11 minutes and 30 seconds left on the Tag Heuer timing there. So, here's a swipe from the 21 into turn number 8, but not able to get it done.
Yeah, just not able to get it done. And Kyle, this is kind of what we've seen in race 2 over the course of the entire season. Drivers may look very, very quick in race 1, but when it comes to race 2, they just stagnate a little bit. It looks like they just can't find the pace, they can't find the speed to get themselves back up through the field.
I mean, example A, last time by, Jean-Guinan Renault was faster than the race leader, but how are you going to get there? Everyone else ahead of him is faster than the race leader, except for Hovesen and Fazui. They are pretty much on pace with the race leader, but everyone is running the exact same pace. Last lap for Caron, 1:35.253. How about the driver running all the way down in 26th place? How about a 1:35.6? That is 4/10 of a difference between leading and running in 26th place.
That's just
look at the 21! In turn 1, they crash!
And that has massive championship implications, as he is going to lose 3-4 positions. Le Charity all the way back down into 10th here at this point, and Matt Adams trying to put him down into 11th.
And being hounded for more. That was an uncharacteristic mistake. Maybe a little bit, a hint of desperation perhaps from the 21. Let's go back and look at it. It caught me off guard because we don't typically see a big dive like that from Le Charity. But here's a look. Here's a little bit later on the brakes. I'm not even sure he meant to do that, but locked up the left front like we talked about in that curved braking zone and gets into the 18. You have to feel for Jean-Guinan Renault because he was just a victim here.
Yeah, really and truly was. Let's take another look at it here, and I think this was a situation where probably just broke a little bit too late, tried to put in the steering as much as possible. There you can see that left front tire actually lock up on him as he runs. It's just enough to be able to make that happen, and he'll find himself down in the order here. He's been able to hold on to 10th place, but that is huge ramifications when it comes to the championship.
Well, and in positions aside, should the 18 decide to quote-unquote press charges as far as protesting that maneuver? Now, I don't know that he will do this because he knows what's on the line here, but if he were to propose a penalty for that scenario, he could protest that move, and that could lead to a penalty for the 21 for avoidable contact. We've seen penalties range from 5 to 25 points, DJ, and that is the difference in a championship. So should Jan play that, and he could, it's perfectly within his rights to do so, that would be an additional thing for Antoine Le Charity to have to fight, but let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to see penalties necessarily coming into play, and so that is about the last thing that we want to have happen here for these drivers. But we continue to watch right now, giving a little bit of a look here at that Porsche Center of Halifax driver in the 06. That is your leader, Andrew Caron. We've got a little bit of a battle here up for P1. Zoran Radisavage has been able to close in under 4/10 of a second.
Yeah, he has run him down, and that lead is as small as it's been this entire race. Wonder if Andrew's maybe driving off the rear tires a little bit. Here's Racine Fazui now looking for 3rd place. Another pass if he can get by the 15. Hovesen slams the door, throws the defense block on him down there and maintains the spot, but Racine is coming, and it's almost inevitable that he's going to get by. He is determined, and the championship is on the line.
Yeah, very, very much so. And rest assured that his teammates, his crew, will have told him here at this point what has happened to his championship rival. And that's going to change Racine's calculation here at this point. He's probably going to be a little bit more cautious and not feel the need to absolutely send it here on Gregory Hovesen, as he will be in a position where he knows he's going to be picking up good points no matter what happens.
So, under 8 minutes remain in this second and final race of round number 7. The sun continues to set, the track continues to cool, but the action on the track is as hot as it's ever been. 3.5 tenths of a second, and look at Caron weaving, trying to break that slipstream, even just without short the straightest are. Here's Fazui down into turn 1, Senna S, and he passes Hovesen for third. Hovesen tried to cross him over, but couldn't do it.
And great move there from Fazui, a little bit more aggressive than I was anticipating as we watch the 17. Matt Adams trying to do the same thing on Blake Townend. He's got to be able to carry it out there for that mark.
Oh, he's wide.
Yep.
And just like that, loses 2, maybe 3 spots as his teammate comes around the outside. Both of those drivers off course. That's Jean-Guinan Renault and Etienne Leger.
Yeah, and they're going to try to get on by him. Guinan Renault trying to regain those positions that he lost earlier on in the race. Took a little bit of a look, but he's going to have those 2 teammates behind him right now, and they are not slow. So that's going to be very, very interesting, as that's Townend going out wide.
Yeah, he was way off course there at turn 4. It's such an easy place to misjudge, getting back on throttle. And Jean-Guinan Renault goes into defensive mode again, as he has got his hands absolutely packed full of Mark Motors cars right now.
Yeah, he really and truly does, trying to defend down into the inside here at this point, trying to see what they're able to do. Not going to play out, as it does look like there that is going to be Leger able to get by Blake Townend. That's the battle here at this point as they come through the right-hander. This is going to get a little bit close.
And it looks like Townend is going to re-clear for 13th spot up front. The battle is heating up. 6 minutes to go. Caron, Radosavich, and Racine Fazui battling for the lead. What would it mean for Fazui to win this race, and he's right in the mix now?
Oh, it would be absolutely mega, and it looks like he may have at least one position here as he's going to be forced to go the long way around. Oh, a little bit of a block there from Radosavich. No, that was an offensive move from Radosavich, as we've got a battle for the lead officially.
Side by side through turn 1. Caron trying to play defense. Radosavich side by side. Now through Curva du Sol. Look at Fazui cross them both over. Here they go. 3-horse race for first place. Hovesen makes it 4.
All right, everybody favoring down on that inside line. Are we going to see a little bit of 3 wide here? I doubt Fazui's going to want to risk that here at this point. And indeed, he's going to stay tucked up and just try to get the move done on Zoran Radosavich. Forces Radosavich a little bit wide. That's 1 position gain for Fazui.
1 at a time. That's all you can do right now. Getting 2 or more would be getting a little greedy. Here's Trepanier back into the mix. Hovesen to the outside. Door gets slammed by the 34 Radosavich, who tucks back in for 3rd. This is an all-out brawl here in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. And look at behind, the 89 and 87 going back at it like they did at the start.
Oh my goodness, just when you thought that this couldn't get any crazier, it continues to go absolutely bananas, as now I'd call this a full 5-car battle for the lead of this race.
This is, oh, look at the 888 of Guillaume Levesque. He took a swiper, no swiping, back to 7th place for the 888 for now.
He's going to have to try to regain here a little bit, but still being up into P7 after starting dead last in race 1. That is absolutely impressive. Caron, though, here's the question. He's now arguably got his most fierce competition directly behind him in the form of Racine Fazui. How hard is he going to be able to fight this charging 58 machine?
And he knows what Racine has on the line, and the difference in the points is going to be pretty enormous with La Charité down in 10th and the chance for the win here on the line for Fazui. He can't take a big risk, but he's going to dive down the inside at turn number 1 into the Senna S, side by side for the lead here at Interlagos.
He's going to have the unpreferred line there coming through that second part and now into the Curva du Sol. And I think that move may have been a little bit misjudged because it slowed him down a little bit, and now it's going to give Radosavich a great chance to overtake.
He's not going to play defense here. He's going to stay on the outside. Radosavich, that was incredibly smart. He knows what the 58's trying to do right now, and he will stay in behind and maybe hope for these 2 to get the elbows out and knock each other off course. Look at the 58 having the run out of 4.
Has the run out of 4, but it's easier said than done. Coming up through Ferradura, he's going to have the inside line. You can carry a little bit more speed if you're Caron, but that is Fazui up into the lead.
Wow, Racine Fazui takes the top spot away. A lockup from the 34. And the 15 runs wide. Here comes the 87 to Trepanier into the mix for 4th place. They are battling side by side. Behind them, Theriault and Levesque banging mirrors off each other as well. But Fazui is cleared for the lead while his championship rival sits back in 9th.
Going side by side there, coming down through the duckspill for this battle right now on your screen. Trepanier and Hopes, and they are losing a lot of time to those battles with the three in front of them. And as we come down here, this should be, I think, 2 laps to go at the line.
Oh, look at this, 3 wide out of turn 12. Levesque to the inside. And Theriot had to back out there as the 87 was still on the outside. That was Hovesen, rather, that had to back out. And now they're door-to-door down the straightaway.
Yeah, they're going to be able to keep this going here, as it looks like at the moment. Trepanier's got a little bit of an advantage, but still side by side here between Levesque and Hovesen. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers coming down into the corner. They bang doors.
Contact once, twice, maybe thrice as they come down through the Senna S. They're still leaning on each other now. Elbows are out and they're throwing jabs here in the closing moments of round 7.
And now look who's been able to catch back up into this party. Josh Manolo, your pole sitter here, the 86, back up, and he wants to try to take this position away from Theriot.
Big swipe from the 888 to the inside of Hovesen at turn 4. He will not get there.
He's not going to get it done there at that point. Going to try to defend down to the inside. Now he's going to have a little bit of a look here as the 888's going to let it run at the second part of the Descida do Lago. Here they go. Can Hovesen keep the same line that we saw Fazui have not too long ago?
He's got the defensive line here. He's got drivers right. The next 2 corners are both right-handers. He's through one of them. Here comes the second one, and then it'll be back to the left. So if Levesque can hang tough here on the outside, which he does, he'll have the spot, and he does. What a great pass there by the 888 to Levesque. From the back of the field up to 5th place, Hovesen tries to swing around and do the same thing to him. He locks up the tires.
Locks up the tires, and that is Hovesen making the first mistake that we have seen him make all night long. He's going to find himself down in 8th position, and as these drivers come to the white flag, it's going to be hard-pressed for him to make it back up. That's
going to be a big challenge. Antoine Le Charité right behind. There are cars on the list to knock off, but Racine Fazui comes out of the final corner. White flag is waving. Final lap here in round 7. Race 2 at Interlagos for the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. Just a couple kilometers left for Fazui to pick up a win and close that gap to the championship lead.
Does Corone have anything? Does he have anything left to respond with here at this point? It doesn't look like it, as the gap is expanded up to 0.5 of a second, but a single error here out of Fazui and we could be having a completely different conversation.
Yeah, and Fazui has made a couple this season, not a lot. No one up front has made a lot of mistakes. You don't get that many mulligans in this championship with everyone on top of their A game. And all Racine has to do now is bring it home. Even a second place wouldn't be so bad given the night that Le Charité has had in this second race. And we're saying this like he's had a bad race. But 9th isn't going to do it to win the championship when your rival is out front.
No, it's certainly not. Let's see what he can do, though. It coming down arguably through the trickier parts of the track here at this point. He's able to keep everything together, able to keep everything nice and running the way he wants to. I think he's just got to get through a little bit here at this point, and he'll be coming to the checkered flag soon.
Half a lap remains. Andrew Caron did a valiant job of trying to maintain that lead. There was a great fight, 5 or 6 cars all involved up front in the battle for the lead, but nobody could hold Racine Fazui back. He comes up the hill and comes out of the final corner. He's already celebrating. You're not quite there yet, Racine, but he has done it. He's going to close that championship lead on Antoine Le Charité. Round number 7 goes to Racine Fazui in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada, and the championship for Le Charité hangs in the balance as they come to the final round next week.
Oh, this is a spicy championship, as we've got a couple other drivers here crossing over the line.
And Le Charité lost one. He lost one, DJ. 10th place for the 21.
Oh, that makes this final round in a week's time even more fascinating. Let's see what happened.
Oh, it was a slowdown, I think.
Yeah.
Where did he get it? Was on the outside of 12? Did he step over the boundary here? I think he did right there, perhaps. Yep. Or maybe on exit even. No, I think it had to have been there. And he had to serve the slowdown, and that will drop him a spot. 10th for the championship leader and 1st for his rival. And that is going to make for a very intriguing season finale in really a week and a half. It's May 22nd. We'll talk about that in a little while. Let's have a look at our race results here before we talk to our winner and more.
Yeah, as we pull up those results again, just a fantastic drive here from Fazui. Also want to draw attention to your 5th place finisher, Guillaume Levesque, able to put in that 5th place. Remember, he started from the pit lane in race 1. Good stuff there from them. And Josh Manolo able to hold on to P7. He had some struggles up with the drivers up at the front of the field here at this point, but still an impressive run there from the 86.
And looking down, you see Gregory Hovason in that 15. He put on a great fight as well. Roman Yolo, a top 10 for him, La Charité for Porsche Center Lausanne. We know how good he is, but race 2s have been the challenge. He has not been maybe as aggressive as Fizui in moving forward, and maybe that worked to keep him out of trouble, but with 1 week left, 10th place next week with Fizui up front again, that isn't going to do it. La Charité, very consistent, but he's going to need more than that.
Yeah, he certainly is. He is going to have it all to play for here as he goes down in. Inge Renault, a little unfortunate to see him in 11th. He had a great race here today, and you've got to really, really feel for him at this point.
Yeah, I put on, the challenge he had there with the 21. I'm sure he could have finished a little bit better, but sometimes contacts happen, and we'll see what happens with that particular contact. Should he decide to protest for it, we will find out post-race and update you before the race next week. Adrian Paluch, how about Brody Goebel? I think he got caught up in another little tussle, P25 for him. And Phil Bouchard crashed out of this one, 23rd for Reeve Sood. That's a disappointing end for Phil.
Yeah, it very much is. Bouchard, always one of those drivers that we are able to talk about being up towards the pointy end of the field and having a bad run there today. Same with Brody Goebel. As you mentioned, that's also going to be a very, very tough blow when you talk about Bouchard in that Porsche Center Championship, Reeve Sood finishing that far down in the order.
And there's the rest of the order. Saw Nicky Chan a couple of times, turned around the 000 down in 32nd place. Alex Bergeron and Porsche Center Quebec in general not having a very good race number 2. Let's talk with our front runners here. First up, Zoran Radosavich, who brought his number 34 car home in 3rd place. Zoran, what a battle up front there, especially the last couple moments of that race. That was a blast to watch, and a podium. That's a great way to finish out round number 7. Take us through what you saw at your windshield and in your mirror.
Yeah, I was honestly happy with like a 15th or 20th. I was not expecting to get a podium here today. I was just trying to keep up with Andrew, keep the tires good, just make it through the 30 minutes, at least get a top 5 out of this opportunity of being up front with these awesome racers. And yeah, it was just a blast, honestly, with Racine and Andrew, both really good guys, really fast. I'm really happy to be able to even keep up with Andrew there for as long as I did, with Gregory behind me putting a lot of pressure on. Yeah, really happy with the result.
Well, we've seen race 2 in particular be really challenging for drivers to move forward. You know what's on the line for those around you, those fighting for the championship up front. How aggressive do you get in your defense to try to cling to these spots? Because passing has proven to be so difficult here in these race 2s with that invert.
Oh, I definitely needed to take a look at who was close to my points, and I made sure I kept Gregory behind me because he's close to. We're close in points, and I definitely want to finish ahead of him.
Well, Zoran, hey, thanks for talking to us. P3, a podium for you. Congratulations. Next week, we go to our final round. That's at Mosport CTMP. Your thoughts on that track and how you think you'll do there?
Mosport, we're just going to have to practice for it like I did for Interlagos here, and yeah, just keep going forward. Hopefully put another good result for Porsche Winnipeg. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Zoran. We'll see you later. Congrats.
Bye.
And second place in this race, Andrew Caron. He's been kind of a hero in these race 2 inverts. Andrew, put yourself in position. That battle there with Racine couldn't really hang on and steal a win like you have in the past, but a second place, still a really good points night for you and Porsche of Halifax.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm really happy with the results tonight. I've made some pretty good points in the sprint, unlucky in the qualifying, but it happens. So I tried to go to the first position as quick as possible at the start of the heat. It worked, but I didn't think Zoran would have that pace. It was pretty incredible. So I tried to shake him off. I burned a little bit my tires, so Racine catch up really fast. At the end, I couldn't do anything because my tires, I think the tires were pretty bad, but also Racine had way too much pace, I think, for me tonight. So, we'll take it. Second position, really good, and I'm really happy with this results. I think also Gregory got very unlucky tonight, but still 8th place, really good. So we're pretty happy with tonight.
The pace was there for both you and for Gregory. Congratulations, Andrew, on that podium result again in top 10 for both your team member for Porsche of Halifax. So congrats, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks a lot. I just want to say thank you to Porsche Halifax, Advanced Motorsport, and Perry Performance.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
And last but certainly not least is going to be Racine Fazui, who put on a show driving through the field there at the tail end of this race. Your championship rival is 10th after that race, and you were charging through the field, putting distance between you and him. I know how intense that was. We saw the focus on your face, but you got to be on top of the world. You're closing in, and it's going to be a fight down to the wire here in 2023.
Yeah, I feel good, but I feel bad for Guillaume because they had the LAN event at Porsche Lauson and Laval. Shout out to everybody there. I'm coming after the interview. I'll be there 7 minutes away. I also want to shout out Porsche Rive Sud, as always, Apex Racing Team, Apex Racing Academy, Advanced Motorsport, and Porsche Motorsport. Yeah, I was not ready for this one because I had a lot of stuff last week. I prepped 3-4 hours. But I was like, I'll just hold my lines and I'll just keep my tires intact. And I felt like that was the story for both races, just having very, very good tires. Antoine sent it once, hit the bump on the inside, and he locked up. Gave him a bit of room. We tapped it a little bit and tried to give as much room as possible. And I guess he did as well. And it went side by side a little bit, but afterwards he didn't have enough for another lunge. So yeah, did the same thing for the second race. Kept it patient at the beginning, and then once I started people shaking the rear a little bit, that's when I strategized my options and I started pushing.
Well, next week, really May 22nd, and it's on a Monday in about 12, 13 days. We have our season finale at CTMP. That's at Mosport. It's going to come down to the wire. It's going to come down to the final race. We know that. It's been how it's been the last couple of years. What does prep look like for this final round, and how do you expect to approach that any different from previous rounds?
I'll try to prep as much as I can. I'll be there in real life to actually coach and do some data analysis for Riceback. Shout out Riceback. Shout out Richard. I don't know if I can get anything from real life analysis, but as everybody knows, on the sim is just putting laps and laps and laps and laps and laps. Thankfully, I had a nice progression throughout the season where I got to learn the car and I got to grab stuff from a certain track and bring it to the different tracks and evolve throughout the season. I'm really proud of that. So when I put in a bit less hours, I can still give a nice result. Also, Antoine and Guillaume were on a different rig, so I don't feel like Antoine and Guillaume showed their true potential, their true pace as they showed all season. So it's one that I'll take home. A big bummer for Guillaume. I would have wished something better for the people at Lausanne. Something maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, like we're charging at Red Brewing, but stuff happens.
Well, stuff happens, and you're on top of it again, Racine. Congratulations. We'll see you at Mosport in a couple of weeks. Good luck to you.
Oh.
All right, that concludes the interviews here for tonight. DJ, he brought up an interesting point that Antoine is not on his normal rig. And for those that don't understand that terminology, these drivers all have sim rigs in their homes or at their place of work or wherever they're doing this. They build the rig the way that they want it to be built. And if you hop on a different one that's not one you normally use, that's a distraction that can take you time, take away pace. And that could be a factor in this championship, however small it is.
Very, very true. I mean, whether we talk about the sim world or in real life, it's all about those micro tenths, that little bit of an advantage that you can have. And I hadn't even thought about that as a point until Racine brought it up, but that could definitely be a little bit of a reason why we've seen Antoine struggle here today, just be that little bit off the absolute lights out pace that we've seen from him earlier.
But the championship is going to come down to one final event, May 22nd. That is a Monday. So if you're used to joining us every couple of weeks on a Thursday, make sure that you're with us Monday, May 22nd, the final round of the 2023 Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. That is going to be an absolute blast. Can't wait to share it with you. I'm Kyle Heyer alongside DJ Clark. We'll see you for round number 8 on Monday, May 22nd from Mosport.